Yes folks, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel today, and my first sort of Let's Play Football Manager 2022 type video. Today I've got the Season 1 review of my Wolverhampton Wanderers save on FM22. Of course, it's still in the beta, but I have smashed through loads and loads of game time so far of FM20. I was a little bit worried because I'd played so much of FM21. I hadn't really touched FM21 for the last few months. And I was a little bit worried that I wasn't going to get into FM22, but my word, I was wrong, and I am absolutely loving it so far. But before we jump into the review, guys, be sure to hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel. We're streaming this very, very often at the moment over on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Dave as a party, and lots more content coming up on this channel, and another channel of mine alongside a number of my FM partners over at 5 Star Potential. So I'll leave a link to that channel as well in the description. But as you can see, guys, we've got the first season review, the 21-22 season with Wolves. And for those that haven't seen it yet, it was a bit of a cracker. So let's jump straight into it. If you've got, obviously, any questions throughout the video, be sure to drop them in the comment section and I'll try my best to answer them. So firstly, we're going to be looking at our transfers, the players that we've brought in and the players that have gone. You're going to see their stats as well with how well they got on. So here we are, the new arrivals. We've got a number of players that have come in. We'll start off in terms of, we'll sort it in value. And let's do it from lowest to highest. So obviously some of these were pre-arranged or happened before I took charge. Obviously happened in real life for Wolves. One of those being Harvey Griffiths coming in from Man City. But one of my first signings in this save, was Dennis Zakaria coming in from Borussia Mönchengladbach for just £7.5 million. He's one of those players I really wanted to bolster the central midfield area of the team. You'll see one or two players went in that area. So this signing really, really helped out. He played 33 games overall for us. Scoring 8 goals and grabbing 4 assists and a very, very strong average rating of 7.14. Of course, at any time, feel free to pause the video and have a look at this guy's attributes. You can see his value is now shot up to way over £30 million, and he has some cracking attributes. Technically, fantastic. Great tackling, decent passer of the ball. Mentally, he's really, really strong. And physically as well, he's quick. Got a bit of strength to him, and he's big at 6'3" as well. So I'm really, really happy with that signing. And I think with a lot of these signings, and people that are in my streams will probably hear me say it a lot, it's not just about how much I sign him for, but long term as well. You know, if we advance quite quickly as a club in a season or two's time, I want to make sure I'm getting my money's worth, and any player that I sign, I'm able to sell for a profit. And players like that, Zakaria for £7.5 million, I can guarantee it already that I'm going to be making or doubling my money and more. So really, really strong signing, and I'm really happy with him. The next one is Ludavika Jorg, coming in from Strasbourg over in France. Now, this one's an intriguing one. I've actually I kept a really, really close eye on this guy in real life. I watched him play in a Ligue 1 game last year, and I was really, really impressed by him. Although he's a bit of a beast, he's really, really tall. He really impressed me, and I'd love to see him maybe play in the Premier League one day. He's 6'6". So I signed him up. We were struggling for goals at the start of the season, which I'll show you. And he's come in, and in 30 starts, 2 sub appearances, he scored 16 goals and got 10 assists. Fantastic record at 7.46 average rating. We actually initially signed him on loan with the option to buy at £4.5 million. I then triggered that in January because I thought I'd be daft not to for just £4.5 million. Again, you can look at his attributes. Despite being so tall, he's not slow. I'm not saying he's super quick. He's got 12 for acceleration and pace, but he's strong. On the ball, he's actually really, really good. Finishing at 16, heading at 16. And I found in this early access, the beta, that heading is quite powerful. You can do really, really well with tall players that can win headers. So Jorg has definitely been able to do that for us. Next up on my list is Thiago Thomas. We signed him from Sporting. If you guys, or any of you guys, saw my Sporting series or saw any of my tweets about the Sporting series that I did on FM21, Thiago Thomas was one of my favourite players. He seemed to just pop up with goals all the time. And when I saw him available for just £3 million, I thought I have to get involved. A little bit frustrating for me, only because of the amount of strikers that we've got at the club at the moment, that he wasn't really able to get as many games as I wanted him to. But he started 3 games, got 11 subs, scored 1 goal and got 2 assists, and still a pretty decent average rating of 7.03, but very much one for the future. Trincao was obviously already on loan at the club. He didn't quite fit into my system, and I'll show you why obviously shortly. A little bit frustrated with myself with this one, because I know how good Trincao is and how much potential he has. But I could probably not quite warrant paying the amount of money that Barca will, that is in the clause to sign him. So, disappointing really, but it is what it is, I suppose, with Football Manager. And that's probably one of the things with me, that I'm not, even though I'm a very, very strong Wolves fan, I'm not very sentimental towards players in Football Manager, which is the complete opposite in real life, as some of you guys will know. Jason Mascara, obviously, was already at the club. He did get a loan out. He actually got loaned out to, is it Nimes, over in France. That was in the second division of France, and actually got promoted, so it was a really productive loan deal for him. Javi Simmons was signed on deadline day from PSG for just 51k. I'm pretty sure it was more than that. I think it was closer to about 300k. As you can see there, those stats are also his loan club. He went out to, again, second division of France. Is that Guingamp? I don't know. But he played, 30 games, scored 2 goals and got 6 assists. Hwang Chan, very similarly to Trincao, just didn't quite fit into my plans. Started 5 games, 14 sub-appearances, and scored 3 goals and 1 assist. Again, probably won't be signed, if I'm honest. Jose Sa, who, of course, was already at the club as well, had a really, really productive season. 39 games for him, and kept a really decent amount of clean sheets, and got a 7.09 average rating. Aït-Nouri was more or less one of my starting left-backs. 24 games, 2 off the bench, and 4 assists for him. Benoit Schill came in January. At the moment, going to be a backup centre-back for me, but really, really happy with what he did. He actually scored 2 goals in 4 games. He started 3 games, came off the bench for one of those, and for £9.5 million. Mukhtar Diakabi came in January. He was going to sit in the back line. We signed him for £27 million, but he scored 6 goals in 15 games, got an assist as well, so a really, really good signing. Really helped us push on towards the end of the season. Luca Pellegrini came in as a left-back. He was going to be a backup left-back on loan. We're not going to look to sign him, if I'm honest. We paid a little bit of money for him. The board, obviously, as you can see, aren't happy with it as well, but he started 9 games, came off the bench for 3, and actually got 4 assists, so he got as many assists as Aït-Nouri in much less games. But yeah, he had a couple of injuries and so on. It didn't quite work out. Bendigo Bola, obviously already at the club. He was out on loan this season at Grasshoppers. Not 100% sure what we're going to be doing with him yet next season. Sven Botman was signed right at the start of the season, actually. I signed him from Lille. Wolves obviously linked with him in real life. I signed him for £12.5 million. 33 games, 5 goals. I don't know what it is with Botman. There are some attributes that are still a little bit low for me, but I'm fairly happy with how he got on. But again, similar to what I said about Zakaria, if bids come in for him, I know in the future I'll definitely be able to sell him for more than the £12.5 million that I'd spent. Joe Hodge and Louis Molden were obviously already at the club. Alex Telles came in on loan from Manchester United in January. Again, I'll explain why shortly. He started 8 games, came off the bench in 4 and got an assist. We do have an option to buy £11 million on him as well. So I'm going to try my best to probably keep him at the club because I think that's a fantastic signing. You can see his attributes. A really, really strong player and very experienced as well. You'll see, obviously, our squad is still very, very young right now. Including the final signing here, Thiago Almada, who for years has been a really, really sought-after player on Football Manager. We signed him from Vélez for £15 million. He was playing as a number 10, like an attacker midfielder, and it took us quite a while to figure out his best role in that number 10. But we came in for £15 million, started 13 games, came off the bench for 2, scored 2 goals, but most importantly, got 8 assists, which is his job, and he's doing really well. But just 21 years of age, already straight away, you can see his value. I signed him for £15 million. His value is between 40 and £55 million, 7.05 average rating, happy days. Before we move to transfers out, let's look at loan outs. Pretty much everybody was already out on loan. We won't really go through much. Dadashov and Campana obviously all out, both out on loan. Scored 6 goals for Tondela and Grasshopper Zurich. Fabio Silva did loan out. He went to Family Cow. Came off the bench 5 times. Really, really disappointing loan spell. That was from January, to be fair. Javi Simmons as well. Vinagre was out on loan at Sporting. Obviously, that is a permanent deal, so he'll be leaving at the end of the season. Patrick Catroni scored 4 goals for Empoli. Luke Matheson was out on loan at Hamilton. Dion Sanderson at Birmingham. Ryan Giles at Cardiff. Morgan Gibbs had a productive loan spell. 5 goals, 5 assists at Sheffield United. Connor Ronan at St Mirren as well. Hugo Bueno did loan out to Grasshopper, but didn't play a single game by the looks of it. And Matthias Sarkic went to, obviously, to Birmingham. And quickly now the transfers out. I don't even know. This guy played for Wolves? I don't even know who he is. Romain Saiss left the club for £8 million. He was out of contract at the end of the season. I really wanted to strengthen and bolster the defence, so that was a really good signing for us. Willy Bolly left in January. He moved to the ever rich Newcastle United for £31 million. Again, I was pretty impressed with that due to Willy Bolly's age. At the start of the season, he wanted a new contract on a higher wage, and I wasn't really convinced with that, so I let him go. Bruno Jordao has gone to Ulsan Hyundai for £6.5 million. Rafa Mir, that was obviously already a deal. Johnny came back from injury and straight away asked to leave the club. That actually happened on FM21 as well, so I was half expecting that. So he came back from injury, asked to leave the club straight away. You know, used us to recover. But again, we got 30 million for him, 31 million for him. So he rinsed Newcastle for over 60 million, both in the January transfer window. Patricio obviously gone, Otasawi gone, Lee Harkin left the club. He's gone to Peterborough. Any other major out? Marçal we sold to Gremio for £1 million. And then in January window, João Moutinho, who wasn't planning on keeping anyway, his contract was up obviously in the summer, and he was sold to Arsenal for £3 million. Off the wage bill as well, so obviously that gave us a bit of an upper hand. So there are all the transfers. Obviously, if you got any questions about those, do let me know. So the season results, guys, what a season it was. What a season. As you can see here, we finished 4th in the Premier League. So we are going to be in the Champions League next season with 68 points, way behind the top 3 of Manchester United, Manchester City and Liverpool, and 7 points ahead of actually Aston Villa, who did really well as well, to finish 5th ahead of Chelsea, and Arsenal down there in 7th. Spurs had a stinker in 11th. But look at that league table, guys. Newcastle, rock bottom, despite spending all that money. I think they spent close to £200 million, and they've gone down to the Championship. They brought in Brendan Rodgers as manager. He got sacked. They brought in Leonardo Jardim, who I believe is still at the club. So they are now rock bottom, which is crazy. See on the left-hand side there, our top goal scorer was Adama Traore, scored 23 goals. Of course, realistic as ever, football manager, always good fun. But here's the start of the season. It was a really strange start, guys. We didn't win our first 3 games. We then won our next 3 games, and things were looking up. And then we went on a disastrous run. And honestly, I thought if we got to that game against Southampton, as you can see here, 2 3-0 losses on the bounce of West Ham and Brentford, who we should have beaten. If we got to that game against Southampton and didn't win, I feel we could have been sacked or at least been under a lot of pressure. We changed our system there, which we'll talk about shortly, and had a really strong spells. We're losing a couple of games here and there, but we went on some really strong spells here in particular, beating the likes of Liverpool, beating the likes of Spurs. We beat Arsenal on the final game of the season. However, that game against Watford was when we secured Champions League football. But you can see some of the results. We beat Southampton 7-0. We beat Burnley 7-1. We beat Everton 7-0. We got some absolutely huge victories. Newcastle 5-1. 5-2 against Everton. We absolutely smashed Everton both times. So a really productive season overall. And a really good fun. Burnley, Palace and Newcastle, in the end, there's 3 teams to go down. In the FA Cup, it was a bit of a disaster. We lost to Blackpool, so we can't even talk much about that, to be honest. Home game against Blackpool, we lost 2-0. Really poor game. And then in the Carabao Cup as well, we lost quite early on in the season to Everton, 2-1. And so, obviously, we are out of the Carabao Cup. Hopefully, we can do a little bit better in those 2 competitions next time out. Moments to remember. I always take some of these games with a pinch of salt, but the biggest win, of course, was that win against Southampton. We had a couple of 7-0 wins, but this one in particular, away from home, Diakabi, Jimenez, Adama scoring a hat-trick, Nelson Semedo scoring, and Thiago Almada. That was in April of the season. Match to remember, for some reason, it's a 3-0 win over Leicester. Jimenez scoring twice and Sven Botman. And goal of the season was Denis Zakaria with a goal on the 45th minute against Everton. Let's have a look at it. I don't know if I can see it, but it was an absolute beauty of a goal. Let's get it up. From what I remember, it was an absolute beauty. A bit of a whip on this one. So Neves laid it off to Zakaria. Yeah, lovely bending effort into the back end of the net. So that was our goal of the season, an absolute beauty. So now we move on to the finances. If you're interested in this sort of thing, obviously feel free to stop by. Quite interestingly, it says our shirt sales there, but I know Hwang Chan, I looked at something later on after the season review. I think Hwang Chan, just off shirt sales alone, made us over £1 million. So that's definitely one thing to keep your mind on, maybe. If you want a player that commercially is going to help improve your club financially, players over in South Korea, Asia are really, really going to help that. But you can see all the other stuff there, sponsorship money, broadcast revenue, and so on. But next season, the next season review will be a good telltale where we've improved in terms of revenue. In season 1, it's sometimes still quite hard to look at things and how we've improved. How we lined up then, this is our system. We'll have a closer look at it in a second, but we played a 4-3-3 or 4-2-1-3. 3 strikers, a number 10 behind, 2 holding midfielders and a flat back 4 with a goalkeeper. I would say more or less that is probably our strongest 11, bar players. I would normally play Jimenez through the middle there and probably Almada ahead of Pedence there. But other than that, that looks probably about right. What I would say it was our strongest 11 throughout the season. So the accolades now, we see that Ruben Neves got Fans Player of the Season. He was unbelievable. We'll have a look at him in a second as well. Ryan Aït-Nouri finishing as the Young Player of the Season. Signing of the Season went to Ludavika Jorg. Goal of the Season, which we just watched, went to Denis Zakaria. Top goal scorer in all competitions was Adama. He scored 23 goals. Neves got 22 assists, which is phenomenal. And the most man of the matches. And he got a fantastic average rating of 7.5. Most passes completed per 90 minutes was Connor Cody with 44. If I'm honest, Cody didn't play a huge amount of games, but we'll have a look at that in a second as well. And some of the record breakers, but once again, I think next season, when things, we're really getting into the game, some of those will look a little bit better than that. And competition awards, actually, Aït-Nouri won English Players Young Player of the Year, which is fantastic. Really looking forward to getting into seeing how Aït-Nouri develops in this game. So there we go, guys. We've finished 4th in the league, which of course is fantastic. We're going to be starting off with season 2 with around a £47 million transfer budget, but of course there are lots of players that are sellable. There's lots of players in the current team that I'll look to sell, and there's lots of players out on loan, such as Campana, Catrone, 1 or 2 other players that are out on loan that we'll be able to make a little bit of money on. Firstly, let's have a look at the schedule, then we can have a look at the closer look at the tactics. So, we started the season, actually, I wanted to play like a 5-3-2. As you can see, it didn't quite go to plan. Although we didn't play ridiculously bad, we probably just weren't creating the opportunities. So, I switched to a 4-4-2, had a fairly okay game against Everton, and then it started to produce some results. So, I thought maybe we were onto a winner, including a 2-0 win over Chelsea. And then all of a sudden it started going a bit pear-shaped. We lost 6-2 to Liverpool, Spurs 4-2, Man City 2-0. I know that is a tough patch of results, so maybe you can ignore that. But then when you're getting pumped 3-0 to West Ham and Brentford, that's when it's a little bit of a scare. So we moved to the 4-3-3 and sort of never looked back. We actually started with a DM, 4-3-3 DM, and then I sort of dragged I think it was the game against Southampton in particular, I dragged the DM to become an AM, and then going forward having these 4 players just running at these defenders, on a counter-attack, if the fullbacks of the opposition are pushing up and you've got 4 versus 2 basically, you're scoring goals. So you can see that in particular, that just really, really worked well, and probably from about mid-December onwards, we played with the DM a couple of times. You can see we played with the DM there against Chelsea and got pumped, but we got 2 red cards in that game. We played with the AM pretty much throughout a lot of these games, and we did the business in the end. So a closer look at the tactic. It's nothing that I'm going to be releasing as of yet, if I'm honest. Big thanks, obviously, I know some people will be commenting this probably, but big thanks to Pav, who is a viewer of the channel, helps me out a lot with the FM stuff, to be fair, over the last couple of years or so. I know he's helped a lot of people out in the community, and he sort of helped me with this one a little bit, to be fair. But that's what we were playing with the number 10 quite a bit. In the end, I settled for a shadow striker. So the front 3 is 2 pressing forwards either side and an advanced forward. As York tended to play on the left-hand side, and we had Adama on the right-hand side. Adama going up for headers was ridiculous. Now, his heading isn't that great, but his jumping reach this year has improved quite a bit, and he scored so many headers. I've actually requested it as a feature on the Football Manager forums for a way to tell how many goals you've scored with a left foot, a right foot, or a header, because I don't think it's on the game. And I think out of his 23 goals, at least half of those would have been headers. So he was fantastic on the right-hand side. Jimenez through the middle. And obviously Jorg on the left. We tried to play Pedro Neto a little bit as well. Obviously, he came back from injury. He's got some really, really strong attributes. So I'm still not sure where Neto lies in this team if we're playing with this system. As an advanced forward, or as a pressing forward on the left, especially with him being left-footed, I think he could work. But just mentally, he's possibly still a little bit low at the moment, but we'll see with Neto, we'll see. So as the shadow striker, I tended to play Almada, especially since January when he signed, but we did play Pedence there. I played Trincao there a few times as well. The AP, now this was Ruben Neves. Probably the reason why he didn't score as many goals is because obviously as an advanced playmaker, you have shoot less often on. But this guy was phenomenal. 7.57 average rating in the league, 2 goals, 22 assists. 7 man of the match awards. He was fantastic, and I pinned him down to a new contract as well. Somebody in the chat said, Dave, you've got to put him on a new contract because he only had 2 years left on his deal. If I left it until now to try and do it, and the chances are he said no, then I would have lost him on a free. So it was good thinking by one of the members in the chat. I think it was Dragon, so big up Dragon. So yeah, we pinned him down, and that was obviously a really, really strong piece of business. But I've had joy with Neves, a lot of joy with Neves in the past, but this is probably the most polished version of Ruben Neves that I've been able to play with on Football Manager. He has been phenomenal. Left back, I tried my best to play Nori as much as possible. I really like him. Still only 20 years of age. He's going to turn out to be a fantastic player. Still coming back from a little injury, so some of his physicals will go down a bit, but they'll shoot back up and hopefully have a really, really strong season again. Centre-backs, I played Botman on the left with him being left-footed. And we played predominantly Diakabi on the right. Now, obviously, other centre-backs, we've got Connor Cody. Only played 10 games in the league. Just wasn't fantastic whenever I used him, to be honest, especially in the back four. Max Kilman we've got, but I think he might be someone that we look to move on or at least loan out in the summer. In the box-to-box midfielder role, which we've skipped, Zakaria was always there, but we had Dendoncker as a backup there. Dendoncker still had a decent amount of games, to be fair. 11 starts, 10 games off the bench. Still got a bit of value in him. And then at right back, it was more or less Nelson Semedo ever present. I think he missed a couple of games due to suspension. Keanu Hoover would have played there. But 35 games for him. 11 assists. He was really, really good. That pace down the right side caused some problems. Him and Adama. And even Zakaria getting involved, it was really, really good to watch. And obviously, Jose Sarr in goal. John Ruddy is going to be leaving the club. So that's the tactic. That's the transfers done. Overall, just a fantastic season. Our managerial performance is only a B. There are some, obviously, concerns. But it's going to be interesting to see what sort of money we can bring in and what sort of plays that we can bring in to strengthen the team and go for a Champions League push. The squad is strong. I'm happy with the squad. But there's some areas that could do with a real big push. Players like Thiago Thomas, I'm still not 100% sure what to do with him. Fabio Silva, I was a little bit disappointed with how he got on out on loan at Family Cow, so we'll have to see what's going on regarding him. We have got one signing coming through the door already. It's Martin Neto, who's a Portuguese lad who probably is going to sit in the 23s, to be fair. Might be a fringe player, but he's coming in from Benfica B on a free, so I can't really complain about that. And then other than that, really, guys, I think that's all. If there's anything major that you think I've missed off, then do let me know. Be sure to hit the like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'm just trying to have a quick think to see if there's anything else that I've missed off. And I think that is about it. Staff, I mean, if you want a quick look at staff, we can look at staff. My assistant manager is now Bruno Lage's brother, Luis Nascimento, because Alexandre Silva, who is the Wolves assistant manager, in real life, left to join Newcastle as well. Newcastle nabbed a lot of our players and obviously got relegated in the end, so I brought Nascimento up as assistant manager. We've still got we brought Antonio Diaz back, who used to be a fitness coach at Wolves under Nuno. Coaches, I've got Dennis Bergkamp, Paul McGuinness, and a couple of new gen coaches actually. Pavel Orlik, who's unbelievable, and David Nesbitt again, who is the same as well. Brought in a lot of scouts. Eric Abidal has come in. Just bolstered the scouting area. So everything, you know, we've taken a lot of time with certain areas of the game. And like I said, guys, really enjoying it so far. So if you do have any questions, do let me know. Be sure to smash the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, guys. And until next time, I'll see you all very soon.